All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order, Niagara Regional Police Service Public Meeting on January 23rd, 2025. My name is Pat Kyokyo. I'm the Chair of the Niagara Police Service Board. We'll start off with we'll begin with the meeting this morning by acknowledging that the Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hanewandarak, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many nations, Métis and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Service Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. I'll start off with a roll call. Member Gibson.
Present.
Member Capsavanu.
Present.
Member Lawson.
Present.
Member McKendrick.
Present. Member
Steele.
Here.
And we have regrets this morning from Member Yip. Number 3, declarations of conflict of pecuniary interest. Does any member have any declarations of conflict for pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll go to number 4, the adoption of the minutes. Minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, December 19, 2024. Moved by Member Gibson, seconded by Member Lawson, that the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, December 19, 2024 be adopted and as circulated. All those in favor? Carried. 4.2 is the minutes of the special board, public board meeting held Thursday, January 9th, 2025. Moved by Member Capsavanu, seconded by Member Lawson, that the minutes of the special public board meeting held Thursday, January 9th, 2025 be adopted and circulated. All those in favor? That carries. I will go to number 5, reports from the chair board. So the Canadian Association of Police Governance hosted a police governance summit from January 6th to the 7th in Ottawa. The theme of the summit was a strategic leadership from costume to culture, building your police governance knowledge and change in society. The summit features several keynote speakers, including the Inspector General of Policing and the subject matter experts from Durham, Halton, and Ottawa Police Service, as well as the UK Police Foundation. Sessions covered strategic planning for the IT, adequate and effective policing, the community outreach response and engagement, lessons learned from police austerity measures and service delivery in the UK. The summit also included group workshops and networking opportunities. Vice Chair Capsavanu, members Gibson and Lawson, Executive Director Reid, and I attended the summit. On January 14th, the Canadian Association of Police Governance hosted its quarterly meeting for the Police Service Board Executive Directors and Board Chairs. These quarterly meetings are designed to facilitate discussions about common issues related to police service boards, commissions, and advisory boards, and to provide a forum where participants can share ideas about best practice approaches. The meeting was held virtually. Executive Director Reid and I were in attendance. The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosts monthly webinars as part of their educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently affecting the policing community. A webinar titled Case Control Study of Police Resignations in London, Ontario was held on January 21st. An upcoming webinar is scheduled for January 29th at 1 p.m. titled Staffing Levels and Response Times, considering American-based research when Canadian police service boards are assessing police service budgets, proposals, and strategic planning. Recorded copies of all webinars are sent to board members and their viewing. Retirement celebration, Niagara Parks Police Inspector Chris Gallagher. The Niagara Parks Police hosted a retirement celebration for Inspector Chris Gallagher on January 21st in Niagara Falls, and Member Lawson attended the celebration on behalf of the board. Thank you, Member Lawson. Niagara Regional Police Services recruit graduation ceremony. The service will be holding a recruit graduation ceremony this evening at 5 p.m. to 7 in the community room here at Police Headquarters. The ceremony will recognize 4 new recruits and 2 currently serving police officers who are joining the Niagara Regional Police Service and 1 Niagara Parks Police Special Constable. Vice Chair Capasvanu, Member Lawson, and I will be attending the ceremony. Niagara Regional Police Recognition Levy, President of Pat McGilley. On January 24th, Niagara Regional Police Association will be hosting a recognition levy at Ravine Vineyard in St. David's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Members Lawson, Gibson, McKendrick, Steele, Board Solicitor McKegg, and I will be attending the levy. The PON Employment Conference. The Police Association of Ontario is holding its annual employment conference on February 25th to the 26th at the Toronto Airport Marriott Hotel. The conference is a premier event for representatives for police associations and employers to come together and tackle the most pressing issues currently impacting police workplaces. The discussions will focus on a variety of topics, including the Community Safety and Police Act, collective bargaining developments, best practices and challenges, the implications of Ontario's new statutory framework, and police disciplinary and human rights decisions. Vice Chair Capasvanu, Member Lawson, Executive Director Reed, Board Solicitor McKegg, and I will be attending the conference. The Police Foundation program launch. Today, the board and the service are proud to announce the establishment of the Niagara Regional Police Foundation. This is a new initiative designed to raise funds that will support crime prevention and community programs that enhance public safety and provide citizens, community organizations, and corporations with opportunity to contribute through donations or sponsorships to advance the Foundation's mission and objectives. The board has developed a selection process for the inaugural board of directors. A media release is being issued today for further details about the Foundation and the application process. Individuals interested in applying for the position in the inaugural board are invited to apply through the police service website at www.niagarapolice.ca. Upcoming police service board meetings. There are no committee meetings scheduled for February. The next scheduled regular meeting, monthly meeting, board meeting will be held on Thursday, February 27, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. in the community room here at Police Headquarters. I'll now go to reports from the police chief. Chief?
Good morning, and thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin my comments by congratulating and acknowledging yourself and the Vice Chair on your appointments to these important positions. And I would also like to acknowledge the support and leadership that we've received over the last couple of years from Member Lawson in her capacity as the Chair. Our service is very excited to continue with the excellent relationship that we've had for the last couple of years, and we look forward to your leadership. So thank you. With respect to community safety, I'm pleased to report that we proactively developed an operational plan for New Year's Eve, and as a result, there were no incidents of concern for the significant crowds that gathered in Niagara Falls. As a result of the board and the support received from the board in the 2025 budget process, our leadership team has been attending briefings, attending unit meetings to discuss the new org chart and how we are implementing the new positions into the organization. And I would like to let the board know that we have received significant positive feedback with respect to the leadership team and also to the board for their support for our program changes. So I want to pass that on and share that with the board. Through the holiday season, we engaged in several ride programs. These were led by our traffic enforcement unit with a goal of having high visibility deterrence and proactive measures intended to keep our roads safe and by extension our citizens safe. In late December, we had a series of vandalisms take place in Niagara on the Lake, whereby cars were being broken into by an individual. There was pretty significant community concern and outreach to our office and to the Lord Mayor in Niagara-on-the-Lake. But I'm pleased to report that as a result of our one district and two district street crime units coming together and working, we were able to very quickly identify the person responsible and return significant number of the items that were stolen to the owners, and then report back to the citizens and to the Lord Mayor on the good work that our members did. So that was a positive outcome to a series of crimes that had a pretty significant impact in that community. That's the good news. The bad news is in 2024, we had our highest number of homicides as a service. We had ended up with 15 homicides, which, as you can appreciate, brings with it a significant workload. But our homicide unit and the support units have done a tremendous job of finding justice in the majority of those investigations. I'm also pleased to provide an update with respect to the record checks. We've spent a lot of time in these meetings talking about record checks, about the backload, about the time it takes to process those requests, and the board supported a request that the service made to change service providers. I can tell you that the result of that since implementation on October 28th is we've seen a 51% decrease in the queue. The turnaround time has also decreased. We've gone from 12 weeks to 7 weeks, and we anticipate that by the time we are fully implemented in May, we will be down to 2 weeks turnaround on criminal record checks. So it's pretty significant reduction. So I'd like to acknowledge our IT and records departments for the great work that they do. We often don't talk about that. We often just think about, you know, the marked car and the high visibility first responder, but the people that are working in the background are also providing excellent service for our citizens. And speaking about leadership, on January 15th, members of our leadership team had the benefit of participating and observing a presentation on authentic leadership from Dr. Natalie Laidler-Kylander. She's a professor at Harvard University, and we were able to have all of our leaders in our boardroom upstairs take part in that education session. So that was highly informative. With respect to community engagement, I can tell you that over the holidays, Deputy Chief Greco and I both participated in separate menorah events. Deputy Chief Greco attended Niagara Falls, and I attended Niagara-on-the-Lake in order to celebrate the holidays with our Jewish communities in our respective cities. On January 5th, members of our EDI unit attended Brock University for the new International Student Welcoming event. Many of these students have come from countries where the police are not viewed favorably or are oftentimes viewed as corrupt. So it provided a platform for us to help these international students better understand law enforcement in Canada and the role that we can play in having a positive impact on their lives. On January 8th, our current recruit class that just finished their time at the OPC went on one of our diversity tours. I know the board has participated in these tours. And on this event, on this day, they attended the Salem Chapel, also known as the Harriet Tubman Church in St. Catharines, the Congregation B'nai Israel Synagogue, the YMCA Employment and Immigration Services. They visited the Peace Mosque here in Niagara Falls, and also the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center. These tours are part of our ongoing efforts to better inform our new recruits on all the cultures and places of worship in the region. On January 9th and 10th, our EDI unit also attended Niagara College and Niagara University, respectively, for their student service affairs. On January 13th, we had an opportunity to meet with Mayor Sisko and his staff to support some of the emerging issues that are continuing to play out in St. Catharines to try to find innovative ways to deal with some of these complex problems, social issues. On January 15th, our EDI unit attended Sacre-Coeur Elementary School in Welland and presented to grade 7 and 8 students on racism, hate crimes, and policing in Niagara. On January 16th, members of our EDI unit, including our Indigenous liaison officers, met with the region of Niagara, their EDI, and their Indigenous relations team. They discussed some of the current training initiatives that are being offered and opportunities for us to collaborate and share resources and expertise moving forward. On January 18th, our EDI unit also attended the Fort Erie Multicultural Center to speak with adult ESL students and staff about the work of the unit and the value of reporting hate crimes. On January 21st, the board will recall that you supported our Holiday Hero campaign, and in that undertaking we raised $10,000. So on January 21st, we met with Betty Lou Suter of Community Care, and we were able to provide her with a check for $10,000. So that was a nice gesture, so thank you again for your support. Later the same day, we also were at the Niagara region meeting with senior staff there and the chairs and leaders of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan to discuss some upcoming meetings as we try to deal with some of the complex issues that affect so many of us, and trying to do so in an efficient and compassionate way. With respect to member wellness, our Member Wellness Committee has organized members and their families to provide an opportunity to participate in an 8-week fitness challenge. Many people in this room are part of that fitness challenge. It's aimed at improving the health and wellness of our members who wish to participate, and includes healthy eating guides, recipes, and also some physical activity routines. I would also like to, I'm going to speak about it under member wellness, but I could have spoken about it under community safety or public safety. I know the board is aware that one of our members was hurt on Saturday as they were part of an ongoing domestic violence investigation. The injuries to our member are significant. He continues to be in hospital, and he continues to receive medical care. The part that I really want to share with the board was really the incredible response from our membership. The way that they responded to the scene to provide him life-saving measures, to take the accused into custody, to support his family, to support him at the hospital, and his ongoing support is remarkable. That response is from across the service, everybody from the dispatchers and complaint takers that took the initial complaint in, sent our members there, members who went into the car to pull him out, to the investigative teams that are involved. I just want to acknowledge the tremendous work of everybody. And I've had several discussions with the members' parents, and they are very thankful for our membership. And I want to be a flow-through, essentially, to share that feedback with our membership. And I know the board has also expressed their support, so thank you for that. And thank you to everybody who responded. We've been out to briefings. We've been part of several discussions about trying to do everything we can to support our members, but I know the board has been very involved, so I want to share that feedback with you as well. And I didn't know whether to talk about that at the beginning under community safety or here. It could go either way, right? Member wellness or that. As this board knows, at the end of the year last year, we hosted the Solicitor General and several partners in public safety at an event. We went down to the bridge in Niagara Falls. We also went down to the Peace Bridge down in Fort Erie. We had the RCMP, we had the CBSA, we had the OPP, we had our teams all providing the Solicitor General with information on the things that we do and can do as part of reinforcing border and national security. So that was a highly, and we met with the Bridge Authority as well. The Bridge Authority consists of leaders from both America and Canada. So it was a really great opportunity for us to hear from the Bridge Authority, to share with them how we recognize we are part of a broader ecosystem. Public safety has a direct impact on economic development and many of the current events that are subject of discussion between Canada and the United States. So it was well received. Again, our team did a great job of pulling that together, and we represented the service in a really professional way. So I want to share that with the board. Also, the board, I'd like to provide the board with a bit of an update. The board was supportive of our initiating a hybrid work program. We have, in this room yesterday, had a meeting with all our IT and records people to talk about the implementation of that program. We had Ronnie at O'Day, and we had Linda Blood here as two of the people that have been on the steering committee, also part of the presentation, very favorably received. And I want to, again, be a flow-through because the people in attendance were very thankful, and I want to share that with the board as well because the board supported this undertaking, so thank you. And then another thing, the final thing I'll say, Chair, to try to be quick, is you referenced the fact that Inspector Gallagher had his retirement celebration Thursday night. Several of our members joined Member Lawson there and members of the NRPA there. And we'll also look forward to celebrating President McGillie's retirement tomorrow to support him and acknowledge the good work and the positive relationship we've had with the NRPA over the last several years. So I'll end my comments there, Chair.
Thank you, Chief Forty, for your presentation. I'll go to members, see if they have any questions or comments. Seeing none, thank you for your presentation, Chief. I think everybody's doing a great job. And when I hear you're meeting with other organizations or partnerships that are being developed, that's fantastic. It's fantastic to hear. Also, I want to give congratulations to the IT department as well for their work on the records keeping. I know I've had some issues in the past with that as well, and I'm glad to hear that it's improved by that much. That's fantastic news. Also want to thank the people that are in the fitness challenge. I know Chief Forty here has been laughing about it, but I don't know why. But I wish you all luck in that. And also on behalf of the board, I just want to express our gratitude for the professionalism and compassion demonstrated by our chief, our deputies, senior officers, and all service members, both ununiformed and civilian, who have supported the officer during this difficult time. Our thoughts are with the officer and his family and everyone in the service affected by this serious incident. Board offers heartfelt prayers for healing and recovery, both physically and mentally, for everyone involved. Right. Thank you. Next, we'll go to presentations. Use of body-worn cameras by law enforcement agencies update. Chief, would you like to introduce the presenter?
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to introduce the presenter. The board will recall that in our budget presentations in the fall of 2024, we discussed an emerging potential cost and an emerging issue being body-worn cameras. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Perez to the podium. Dr. Hector Perez. He has prepared a presentation for the board. Director Rulo is here also as well. And I'll turn it over to him, and there may be some questions, and we may go to several people in the room to answer those questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and welcome.
Sorry. Thank you, Chief, through the chair. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'm Dr. Hector Perez. I'm the corporate analyst for the Niagara Regional Police Service, and today with me is Police Constable Kayla McLaren, wearing one of the body-worn cameras. Of course, it's a demo, it's off. And today we'll be exploring the implementation of body-worn cameras, a critical advancement in modern policing, addressing transparency, accountability, and community trust. Let's dive into the agenda. We'll begin with an update for this board on where we stand with body-worn cameras at NRPS. We'll compare our progress with other police services and delve into the academic research on body-worn cameras. From there, we'll explore community sentiments, discuss the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then we'll discuss a proposed roadmap for implementation. And finally, we'll talk about some strategic considerations and wrap up with an opportunity for questions. So, regarding the status update, as you can see, NRPS has been exploring body-worn cameras as part of our innovation strategy. Our journey with body-worn cameras has been incremental but intentional. In this slide, what you can see are the different reports that have been presented to the Police Service Board. The first one was in 2015, and this report discussed different ongoing pilot projects across the country, Victoria, Edmonton, Calgary, and Toronto Police Service. The report at that time, 2015, concluded that it was premature for NRPS to explore the development of a body-worn camera program. Then on November 2016, a Police Service Board continues to discuss the Toronto Police Service pilot project with promising results, yet some technological challenges. 2016, they were talking about battery life, hardware, and software stability. The conclusion was almost the same. NRPS will continue to monitor further developments. And more recently, in 2024, we have engaged with other community partners and police services. We have reviewed their pilot projects and analyzed data to ensure any proposal we put forward is evidence-based and systematically developed, as we aim to implement this technology in a way that maximizes its potential while addressing challenges properly. In this slide, what you can see is the status of body-worn camera implementation within the Big 12 police services in Ontario, including the RCMP and OPP. Where we are making strides, we recognize that some other police services in Ontario and in Canada are further along. However, understanding their experiences help us inform our approach. Slide number 6 shows the technology adoption curve proposed by Moore, which highlights how organizations adopt new technologies at different stages. What you can see here on the left side, they're what we call the early adopters, or organizations that take the technology on the early stage of the market. Then you can see on the middle, the mainstream market. When a technology becomes mainstream for the market, there's a vast majority of adopters. And then on the right side, what you can see, it's something that we consider late adopters, and NRPS could be considered a late adopter. The whole idea behind this bell curve, or a normal distribution, is that once a technology becomes mainstream in the market, then a majority of adopters will start using that technology. And for us, as I said, it's a key benefit. As the body of knowledge, it's really extensive. If today you do a quick Google Scholar search, you will find 8,060 peer-reviewed articles about body-worn cameras and policing. So that gives us really an opportunity to learn from academic evidence, but also from other jurisdictions. In fact, we're part of a provincial and national collaboration working group with other police services regarding technology implementation, where we have opportunities to exchange best practices to reduce this learning curve and prevent future challenges. On a side note, London Police Service this past Monday they announced that they are deploying their body-worn camera program. So now moving on to the academic research. There are multiple benefits reported within the academic research. First, I'll start off with studies that report that body-worn cameras really enhance transparency and accountability, which improves public trust. Other studies highlight how body-worn cameras could improve perceived legitimacy by police services, reducing use of force and public complaints against the public, but also helping to streamline investigations. Just to mention one example, the Law Enforcement Complaint Agency mandates that complaints made by the public against police officers should be addressed within 120 days. In this regard, the evidence that comes from a body-worn camera can help to provide that evidence that is unbiased and can support this type of investigations, potentially streamlining and reducing the time that it takes to conduct those investigations. Also, some studies have shown some value in enhancing the value and availability of evidence with potential implications to reduce court times and workloads for justice, and of course, improving the outcomes. Just as an example, I have two larger studies that were conducted. One is regarding domestic violence, and the other one, this one, and the other one, it's about how body-worn cameras can reduce and improve the outcomes of criminal cases. Those studies are available under the appendix number 1 for your consultation. Of course, a summary, but also you can access them online. However, we also found some challenges related to body-worn cameras. First off, privacy concerns, officers' resistance and perception of body-worn cameras, and the literature and pilot projects from a few years back reported operational hurdles, such as data storage and battery life. Again, the technology that you're seeing right now is the 6th generation, so those hurdles that were reported back in the day, they're no longer an issue. I'll talk about a little bit more in a second. Being a late adopter, as I said, gives us an extra benefit of knowing what these challenges are and how to address them properly. For example, the battery today, it's 13 hours, a full shift, and the storage capabilities are not longer an issue. Back in the day, 10 years ago, the cameras had to pull out the memory card, so now that's not an issue anymore. A camera has 120 gigabytes and unlimited industry-grade cybersecurity standards are met. That camera includes encrypted unlimited cloud storage and a battery that, as I said, that lasts up to 13 hours. Then we explore the community sentiments that were reported in the academic literature, pilot projects, and evaluation studies. We observed that there are some concerns about the community in terms of privacy, but also we learned that the community has a strong support for technologies that can promote a much more professional behavior and provide an unbiased evidence about interactions with police. Regarding this SWOT analysis, we analyze strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats in likes of a body-worn camera program implementation. In terms of strengths, and I'll be quick on that, in terms of strengths, we believe we have a very strong organizational support and robust IT infrastructure. However, weaknesses like the need for updating our policies must be met or addressed if we consider a future deployment. Opportunities exist, such as the collaboration with other police services to learn and incorporate best practices and validated frameworks for implementation. And threats such as the potential data breaches and unrealistic community expectations must require careful mitigation, of course, with training, communication, and clear policies. So in this slide, I try to capture all the ongoing or major technological projects we have at NRPS, and I'll put my attention on the body-worn camera roadmap proposal. So as I said, we would like to start with the community consultation. That's the first process before considering an implementation, taking back the learning from the sentiments of the community, but also from our members, and then taking back those results to the Police Service Board for an open dialogue. And if approved by the board, we would like to consider planning the implementation. That will take into account privacy impact assessments, policy development, revision of our current infrastructure or purchasing the infrastructure, talking about the cameras, a change management, a communication strategy, and finally the deployment. And in this phase particularly, we're thinking about a deployment that allows us to quickly learn from feedback. So whatever information we learn, we can be, would allow us to be effective implementing changes. How we plan to do the community consultation process? Again, this is for learning about their sentiments, right? 2 to 3 months, an online survey, and a dedicated email address with 4 sections. The first section is consent to participate. The second section is about perceptions of police. Third section about perceptions of body-worn cameras, and then some demographics and statistical insights. So now, in terms of strategic considerations, it is extremely important to learn from community expectations, but also to identify organizational champions who can facilitate this change. And create a robust training strategy that help us to roll out the program effectively. Different pilot projects, different evaluations, and the academic literature report that as a challenge, of course, because of the way we operate the business. In policing, it's very hard to ask people to come and get training, so that's what a very well-defined strategy is very important. And then I wanted to include this slide just to illustrate the gap between technology, as you can see on the upper line, green line on top, and public policy. So technology always follows a exponential growth, while public policy takes longer to catch up with technologies. In between, there's individuals and capabilities and business and processes. The whole theory behind this is the more you delay the implementation or adoption of a mainstream technology, the harder it gets to catch up with that technology. So that's just to reflect on the importance of taking the proper steps for an implementation. In terms of cost, we're planning, of course, that's a discussion that will happen down the road, but in terms of the investment, we're planning to purchase 550 cameras for frontline and other officers with no additional cost, and this is important, no additional cost of refresh or renewal, meaning that our officers will always get the latest equipment that is available. And we plan to purchase 748 licenses, will give us enough licensing for frontline, supervisors, clerks, courts, and other involved parties to analyze the information and the evidence that is needed to move ahead with different cases. So if you factor the total cost of this program divided by the number of officers, it's about $4,150 per year per officer. An investment that could offer significant returns in terms of benefits that have been reported in the academic literature and pilot projects and evaluations from other police services. Just recently, Chicago Police Department presented a large study. They have 14,000 members. They presented a large study with evidence of reduction of complaints from the public against the police, but also reduction of use of force incidents. Because again, there's different agencies using body-worn camera footage also for training. The VC Institute of Justice is using a top 3-person approach where a peer watches the footage plus a supervisor, so then they can learn and reflect about how an officer can improve their practice. So just to mention that. More strategic considerations that I want to discuss with you. I think it's very important to prioritize technology advancements, as I said, to enhance community safety. foster innovation and continuous learning, and collaborate with justice partners to modernize also their workflows. Implementing body-worn cameras requires a consideration of different legal precedents, and success will be attached, again, to frontline officer support, as we believe that we need to empower them as champions leading this change management program. Clear communication, training, and an emphasis on the benefits of body-worn cameras, it's critical, as we also learn and incorporate the body of knowledge that, as I said, is very extensive in terms of pilot projects, evaluations, and literature. And lastly, a robust framework that give us the opportunity to measure key indicators like complaints rates, use of force incidents, and case processing times will give us more information about the success of our initiative. And just to finalize my intervention, body-worn cameras are more than a safety tool, a piece of equipment. In my opinion, they represent a commitment to transparency, accountability, and a modernization of policing. With careful planning, collaboration, and community engagement, we believe NRPS is well positioned to implement this technology. I will welcome any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'll now go to members, see if there's any questions. Member Steele?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regards to the financial considerations, in the reports that you've gone through, have other forces, specifically those that got on board right away, did they see a savings in other areas once they brought the camera systems on board?
Yes, that's a good question. I have different pilot projects here. One, a study that was conducted in Miami showed reduction in court times and processing times. So that factor in the time that it takes to move a case along, I think it's a very important cost consideration, given those costs. Also, the investigation, complaints made from the public against police officers, as I was referring during my presentation, some public available pilot studies report a reduction on times. So we can factor the total time it takes to get from A to B, and then we can see how much they save. And some of them have been reporting that piece of evidence, additional unbiased, full picture of what already or actually happened, reduces the time it takes to move an investigation along.
Okay, one more. Through you, Chair, to Ms. Rollo. With regards to the budget increases that we're looking at, it looks like we're spreading this over a two-year budget. There's our upfront capital cost, which is a one-time, and then our ongoing. But in regards to a percentage increase, can you give us an idea of an approximate?
So through to the chair, the 2.3 million of the annual ongoing represents approximately 1% of our budget. So we would be looking at a 1% increase.
Okay. Or it could be offset by doing other things.
Yeah, that is an annual cost. Assuming that 2026 will be started in the half year, that it would be a 0.5%.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Member Steele. I'll go to Member Gibson.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the presentation. I really enjoyed your use of the term back in the day, 10 years ago. Certainly a different frame than I use. Two questions I have. In the camera replacement or the upfront hardware, capital cost is almost $1 million. How long does that equipment last before it has to be replaced?
That's a good question. Through the chair, thank you for that question, Member Gibson. The manufacturer reported that the camera can last between 4 to 5 years, and then the replacement is for free. So like the licensing model they manage gives the opportunity to police services to always have the latest technology available. This camera is the 6th generation, so that's what I used the word or the expression back in the day, right? They started 10 years ago with the 1st generation, and the different pilot projects, Toronto Police Service, Calgary Police Service, they report that as one of their major concerns, the cost of replacement. because you have to pay every so often for getting the new or the latest technology. And that being said, considering that the camera is just a normal life, but sometimes with our ongoing business is not the regular life, right? The manufacturer says that the camera is officer-proofed, so that means that you can toss it away, you can run, you can put it underwater. There's different circumstances, but the manufacturer estimates that the camera lasts between 3 to 4 years, and the camera gets replaced after that period, or if a new version of the camera becomes available. And
Okay.
without any additional cost for the service.
Great, that's really good news. One more, Chair. The model that our officer has on there, it blocks the word police. That's probably not an issue, but can it be worn so that the L and the I is visible? There are people out in society who may not know what a POCE is. So it's important that we can still see the word. Okay, so it's easily adjusted so that can be seen, eh?
Through the chair, thank you for that observation, Member Gibson. That's part of the conversation down the road. That's why I propose a community consultation that also takes into account our members in terms of where this camera and which type of clipper is the best. The manufacturer offers different type of clippers. So there are some services in Ontario that have the camera here or here. Of course, our officers, sometimes they have a radio here already. So it depends on where it better fits our purposes, because of course I'm aware that we have a policy that says that we should not cover the word police, and I think that is extremely important. But being creative and exploring different clippers, different versions of the clippers, I think we will be able to accommodate the camera in different positions to not cover the word police.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because there's always someone out there who will take advantage of that, even though they know it's a police officer. But in the courts, you know, that sort of thing can get twisted easily. So it's important that the word police is always visible.
Correct.
Thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Mayor, Member Gibson. I don't have, Vice Chair Capus-Vanu.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Perez, for that presentation. I just have a few questions and comments around why we are actually looking at implementing body-worn cameras within the Niagara Regional Police Service. Is it because everybody is doing it, or do we actually have an objective in terms of looking at accountability, transparency, and evidence collection? That's my first question.
Thank you, Co-Chair. The answer to your question is the former. Your two alternatives. It's not because everybody's looking at it. Principal reason is trust and legitimacy in policing, and then the potential benefits realized by having video footage with respect to training, enhancing our ability to provide meaningful evidence, relevant evidence. So it's a combination of the latter of your comments. You are correct, though. We are a late adopter to this technology.
Through you, Chair, I guess the following question to that would be, given the topic of mistrust around cameras and other officers, when I looked at the presentation that you did, thinking that it is an issue of not trusting officers, how is this going to be piloted, and how are you going to select which officers are going to pilot this program, and how do we let them know it's not because they are not the ones who are not trusted? Yeah, I just want to understand how that's going to be done.
Thank you for your question, through you, Chair. The process that we have proposed is for us to do community consultation, which is inclusive of internal consultation. Once we've done that consultation, we would like to bring the feedback that we received back to the board. At that time, the board, I'm presuming, would provide us with direction with respect to, one, whether or not we need to do a pilot project, because as Dr. Perez referenced, we are a late adopter, and pilot projects have been undertaken by police services in both Canada and the United States. It might come to fruition that after the community consultation, the board directs us to create a policy and create a training program whereby we implement it in our service. And as Dr. Perez referenced, our proposal was for everybody. We did not anticipate selectively picking people. It was either we're going to proceed or we're not.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Can I add 2 more questions? I think the question follows on the public consultations the community consultations that you mentioned. I noticed that within the presentation, most of the feedback is through literature review, and then part of your presentation spoke about online consultations. Is that the only consultation that's going to be done within community? Because I don't think that is enough or inclusive. Not everybody has access to online surveys.
Correct.
I think there should be consideration put towards actual in-person or town hall kind of consultations within your community consultations.
Through the chair, and thank you for that observation. We have, for the consultation, I agree with you. We can open the span of to different tools and methods. I think it's valuable to have more ways to connect with our community. The survey that we are planning to use is the one that was being used by the RCMP. It's a tool that has been validated, and it's a tool that has been used nationwide with different communities. But I agree with you. It will worth to explore some other tools and methods to collect as much data as possible. So if you're okay, we can incorporate that as part of the proposal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Final. Yeah, I would appreciate that, because I think we have to be as inclusive as possible and look at targeting particular communities, especially around this body-worn camera issue. The final question I have is around the integration of AI within these body-worn cameras. Is that an aspect that's going to come into it in terms of facial recognition, things like that? Are we integrating that, and how will that factor into policy development?
Thank you for that question, and through the chair. It is not considered as part of this program, but certainly is a technology that is gaining momentum and will continue to expand over the next few years. But as part of concerns to this body-worn camera program, it is not considered a incorporation of that tool.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Capus-Vanu. Member Lawson?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Perez. I have a couple of questions. So the first one kind of goes off of Member Steele's comments and questions about the additional costs. We see that there is the initial cost for the camera. You indicated that there is no additional cost for further camera upgrades, but I'm guessing that's because it's already included in part of the cost of the annual operating fee. They would probably, because nobody's going to just give us free cameras. They may be free, but they're actually, the cost is buried somewhere else. So is that the case, or have we looked into what the operating costs are from a different model, potentially where you do have to pay for the capital upfront and continuously pay for the capital as it's going, or have we reviewed the cost considerations?
Thank you for that question, and through the chair. From the quotes that we got from the vendor, we assume that the cost is a one-time cost for the hardware, the equipment, the camera, and as I said, the replacement cost, there's no replacement cost. So once the camera reaches their maximum time, or even if there's some situations where a camera has any issue, gets replaced automatically. That's based on the model that the manufacturer, the licensing model that the manufacturer has. One important consideration, because I don't think I stressed that enough, but some pilot projects were, back in the day, again, 10 years ago, were referring to the cost of storage. Storage was a big issue because a regular file, it's simple to store, but think about the the multiple hours and hours of video footage. That was an issue some years ago, but in this licensing model, the storage is included, and that's unlimited. So it's encrypted, industry grade, protected, but it's also included and factored in the price of the licensing model.
So if I'm understanding correctly, there's only one vendor? There's two. So, sorry, the question is I don't feel that my question was really answered because I understand how the costs kind of are flowing through, but what I'm asking is, traditionally, when you buy hardware, in most cases, if you buy an iPhone, for example, you have to pay for your next iPhone when you're going to upgrade it. So that's not part of the normal operating cost that's from the month-to-month fee. What I'm asking is there other vendors that look at their costs differently? Just so that we have a better comparison, like maybe we're way overpaying for the annual operating costs is what I'm trying to understand.
Thank you to the question and through the chair. I might ask our director of IT if he can provide some comments on terms of vendors. Would you okay?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to kind of get back to your question. So you got the upfront capital cost, and within the contract and the licensing, it requires 2 refresh cycles to replace the hardware at month 30 and 60. So we have a 5-year where the equipment is replaced twice to keep it current. Anything after the 2, 3, or 4 years life cycle that Dr. Perez talked about will be a capital funded replacement to your question. So with respect to vendors, the market, within looking at the geographical deployments, it's actually one vendor, which is Exxon. So it's one vendor who's provided that solution within Canada. But I wanted to comment on your refresh. So you're right, at one point, the hardware will have to be replaced. That's covered for the next 5 years within the contract. Potentially, we'll say another 2 to 3 years because we just got it at year 5. But after that will be a capital replacement that we do with any hardware. I hope that answers your question.
That does. That answers the question. Thank you. So there are additional costs. Thank you for, sorry, through you, Chair. So there are additional costs, not just the servers and the storage space. So you've addressed that. What is additional costs for staffing to catalog, review, redact? There's going to be potentially, if you're preparing, I don't know all the legal terms for what happens into the legal system, but you're going to have more requirements. You're not just going through paperwork now. Now you're going through video footage and how does all that happen? So I see that there was costs of about $800,000 a year for staffing, but that's including all of that other kind of cataloging, reviewing, redacting, everything?
Thank you for that question and through the chair. I may ask our Director of Finance to answer that question.
So through to the chair, the current estimates for salary are based on what other services are experiencing, and currently they have in their budgets approximately for our size organization, we've put in for 5 DEMS clerks. Those would be the redacting clerks, as well as an IT tech. Those are the only costs that are sort of the additional resources that they have put in thus far. But once we get to the point where we're actually going to be requesting those resources, we'll get some further information from other services in terms of what they're experiencing. But right now, this is based on what other services have in their budgets to support the body-worn camera program.
Okay, thank you. So the $800,000 includes these 6 staff members, or that will be asked for afterwards?
No, the 814 is for 5 DEMS clerks, which are our redacting clerks, 1 IT tech, and a sergeant.
Okay, so 7. Perfect. I noticed through you, Chair, Vice Chair Capizavanu had mentioned about the survey. I agree with her that instead of just a survey, that it should be more in-person discussions, and perhaps it can go through the Inclusion Council and some of our other DEI groups that we work with. That's just more of a comment. One of the other things that I noticed from the presentation is that there is a pilot project in Halton right now with 24 body-worn cameras. So I think if I wrote down correctly, you said we would start with 550. So is there not a possibility for us to start with 24 to see how, you know, what we like about it, and then kind of work from there, and then go into a bigger process after it?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Thank you for your question. Our intent was to do the community consultation, the internal consultation, come back to the board with the results of that, and then have a discussion about a pilot project, what that might look like, whether or not we need it, because as I referenced earlier, we are a late adopter into this, and pilot projects have been undertaken across Canada and the United States, but those are the types of things that we were going to bring forward after we've done the consultation. We just wanted to, with respect to this particular slide, we just wanted to provide as much information to the board as possible with respect to the anticipated costs. That's why this slide's up.
I think we're all very aware of costs, especially what's going to probably happen again this year. I have one further question, Chair. So through you, Chair, further to Vice Chair Capizavanu's comments about AI, if I understand correctly, we already have ALPR. And if I understand correctly, it's fully implemented and we're using it to its fullest, which would mean that there's some scanning that's happening. AI is basically utilizing and scanning the license plate, so it's recognizing. So back to Vice Chair Capizavanu's comments about face recognition and things like that, what are the considerations that are being made? And for that, and then for body-worn cameras, and the second is, what has our experience been with ALPR?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair. So the ALPR program and the in-car camera piece, we are still evaluating it. It's not fully implemented across the service. The technology has been deployed in the vehicles. We started our pilot project within the traffic unit on the ALPR piece of it. So we're still in that pilot phase with the traffic unit. We're working on properly preparing our policy on the in-car camera portion, which we have not started to use properly yet. There is no policy on it yet. So once those pieces are in place, it is separate, but that will hopefully be a learning opportunity for us on the, collecting video data and then the processing piece behind it for the scenes for disclosure. As far as the AI components to it, I'm not aware of any facial recognition technology that's part of this camera. There might be, but whether we use it or not, that would be a decision that we would have to make with the board's approval. There are other AI components such as transcription, different features like that might be finding us some savings in time of processing. Like I said, the transcription piece would be a massive savings unless we'd have to actually transcribe this or the video that we get. But as far as all the components or technology that's available through the camera, I couldn't be able to comment on that right now, but I'll talk to Dr. Perez.
If just, through the chair, if I just can add a little bit. If by AI we understand facial recognition, the short answer is no. This is not part of the program. But remember that AI right now, it's a technology that it's becoming really mainstream, and it's being incorporated in more technologies like autocomplete form, that when you're tagging a search term in Google and that autocomplete that's an AI. And a technology that auto-tags your pictures when you take a picture on your iPhone or your phone and tells you what it is, the picture that you see, that's AI. A technology that it's predicting the weather, that's AI, right? If we, that's what I want to be just very clear on. If we understand AI just as facial recognition, no. This program does not include anything related to facial recognition as part of the body-worn camera technology. However, there are some automatic processes behind the software. For example, the tagging of a date, right? When the occurrence happened, that's linked to a occurrence numbers, so that grasps the timestamp for them and then just put it in the system. That could be considered AI, probably, because it's like a technology that automates the workflow of that process in the backend. But in terms of technologies that uses actively facial recognition, is not part of the program right now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one follow-up to Deputy Chief Greco's question through you, Chair. Would you know where we are, if we're a late adopter for ALPR?
So when the program was introduced, there was a grant through the province to install the technology in the vehicles. I can't comment on the status of all the other police services, but I really can't comment on that. I don't know what other police services have done it. I don't have an analysis of that. I know some police services are using it. Like I said, we were using it within the traffic unit, but we haven't gone live across the entire organization.
Okay, so we don't know if we're early adopters, late adopters for the ALPR?
I guess in a sense, we were early adopters because we had a previous version of ALPR technology within our traffic unit that we were using, but not across the entire service or across the entire front line. So I couldn't offer that comment right now.
Okay, thank you. That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Member Lawson. I'll go back to Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I think the focus on AI was not just simply on the cameras themselves and facial recognition, but when you're looking at the data after it's been brought in from the cameras, are we going to be using AI through any of those processes? That was what I was really talking about. And then looking at the ethics around that. And if we are using AI technology, for example, to analyze data, are we going to have a human body after the AI analysis to go over the data, like you, for example, Dr. Perez? That's what I was really referring to. But my comment right now is around your evaluation framework. I see you've got all the KPIs, such as complaint rates, use of force. I would like to see within that evaluation metric something that has a figure to it. We're measuring the success through how much money it has saved us or what costs we have decreased because of this thing. I think a figure value of sorts within the evaluation framework would be great.
Through the chair, thank you for that question. Yes, and that's exactly part of the component of the evaluation at the end. I'm just gonna step back to the roadmap that I'm proposing. I'm proposing a pre and post evaluation so we can incorporate that type of metrics in terms of cost efficiencies and savings. So we can also say, hey, before implementing this, we need to gather this type of evidence for a complaint made by the public against an officer. It took this number of hours from our staff members. And now with this technology, we were able to show some decrease in the time it takes to complete those investigations. I'm happy to incorporate those reflections. And if you have any additional ideas, I will be more than happy to keep incorporating those, because I think this is very important for our discussion moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's have it have an impact on overtime problems that we have.
Thank you, Vice Chair Capsavanu. I will go to Member Kendrick.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation and also the visual and demonstration of the equipment and the discussion. Trying to sum up, because a lot of my questions were answered, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on the recommendations and what we would be approving today. So the recommendation today is to move forward with the consultation and bring forward further recommendations. It's not approving the capital, the numbers, those were provided for information of consideration. So the rest of 2025 would be moving forward with the consultations, bringing forward further recommendations. So those numbers may change, but we're not putting out the capital until we have further information and a plan to answer all of these questions. And then based on those consultations, we'll determine the actual numbers based on the recommendations. And at that time, we would be deciding on capital output and salary costs, et cetera, right? So just trying to bring it all together so I know what I'm approving. Yes.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Our recommendation is exactly as you referenced, and that is why, after consultation with the Executive Director, we brought this presentation as the first one for January, so that we had the time to do a fulsome review and come back to the board again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions or comments, so I will thank the presenters for your presentation. It was very informative, and we look forward to any feedback and updates in the future. So thank you. So I do have a motion here. It's moved by Member McKendrick, second by Member Steele, that the Niagara Regional Police Service Board approve the recommendations as set out in the report for consideration of the implementation and deployment of body-worn cameras in 2026. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll go to number 8, consent items. I'd like to move consent items 8.1 to 8.9 in block, that the information be received, and it's moved by Member McKendrick and seconded by Vice Chair Capus-Vanu. All those in favor? That's carried. So we'll go to number 9, new business, 9.1. That's request to prepare service level agreements for Police Service Board, RMON shared services. So moved by Member Lawson, second by Member McKendrick, that the Police Service Board direct the Chief of Police to prepare service level agreements with the Niagara region for shared resources charged to the board through indirect allocations, and further that all final agreements be submitted to the board for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Number 9.2, enterprise storage expansion. Service reported dated January 13, 2025, requesting board approval of a single resource purchase of storage expansion. Sorry, and I'll go on to the recommendation here, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve the single source purchase of storage expansion equipment for the Technical Crimes Unit to Dell Technologies in the amount of $189,818.02, and that the HST rebates with funding available in the 2024 Enterprise Storage Capital Budget. That's moved by Member Steele and seconded by Member Gibson. Any discussion? All those I'll call a question. All those in favor? That's carried. I go 9.3, moved by Vice Chair Capus-Vanu, seconded by Member Lawson, that the Niagara Regional Police Service Board award the purchase contract to Grimsby Ford to purchase 15 replacement patrol vehicles of $386,365 CAD, including HST under the Police Cooperative Purchasing Group, with funding available in 2025 capital budget vehicle replacement project. Any discussion? Yes, Member Gibson?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Just to be clear on this for myself, is this additional to our budget request at the region, or is this inclusive of that budget request, our last budget?
So through to the chair, in the 2025 capital budget, we had requested funds to replace 19 of our patrol cars. So this is the execution to purchase 15 of those 19.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I see no other questions or comments. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 9.4, approval for public donation, Niagara Regional Police Services K-9 Unit. That the Niagara Police Service Board approve the public donation from the estate of Irene May Gladwell in the amount of $142,500 to the Niagara Regional Police Services K-9 Unit. Moved by Member Kendrick, second by Member Steele. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. So items 9.5 to 9.8 are special fund requests. Before we consider special fund requests, items 9.5 to 9.8, I would like to remind members of the public that the special fund does not form part of the police operating budget and is separate from the regional tax base. The special fund is a discretionary pool of funds which is used for grants and charitable donations. Disbursements from the fund are made in accordance with guidelines provided in the Community Safety and Policing Act and with Board Bylaw 403-2024, Special Fund Administration Limitations and Guidelines. So I'll go to 9.5, the special fund request for Gillian's Place, moved by Member Lawson, second by Member McKendrick, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve donation in the amount of $1,000 for the special fund to Gillian's Place for their breakfast to end gender-based violence event. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. 9.6 is special fund request, International Hockey Tournament, Niagara Regional Police Service Women's Team, moved by Member Still, second by Member Gibson, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve a special fund donation in the amount of $1,500 in support of the Niagara Regional Police Service Women's Hockey Team at the 2025 International Police Hockey Tournament. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Special fund request, International Hockey Tournament, Niagara Regional Police Men's Recreational D Team. Moved by Member Lawson, second by Vice Chair Capsavanu, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve a special fund donation in the amount of $1,500 in support of Niagara Regional Police Service Men's Recreational D Hockey Team at the 2025 International Police Hockey Tournament. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. 9.8, special fund request, coldest night of the year fundraising walk. Moved by Member Lawson, second by Member McKendrick, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve a special fund donation in the amount of $2,000 as sponsorship for the NRPS members participating in the coldest night of the year fundraising walk to raise funds for Start Me Up Niagara and Project Share. Any discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. 9.9, Police Service Board 2025 Committee Representation. Moved by Member Gibson, seconded by Member Steele, that the board approve the committee mandate as outlined in the report and confirms its committee membership for 2025. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Well, number 10, other new business. Do any board members have any other new business? Okay, see none. Chief?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll go number 11, in-camera reports. We'll move items 11.1 to 11.3 in block. Moved by members Capus-Vanu, second by Member Steele, that in accordance with the board direction, that the above noted in-camera reports be made available to the public. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Motion to close session, moved by Member McKendrick, second by Member Lawson, that the board move into closed session for consideration of confidential matters pursuant to the Section 44 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, namely for the subject matter related to potential litigation, human resource matters, information supplied in confidence by the Ministry of the Solicitor General and from vendors for contract awards, as well as legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. This meeting is adjourned. Yeah, we have 5 minutes.